Vast military complex. Officially, it employs 22,000 men and women and is the home of the 88th Air Base Wing, the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, and the Air Force Materiel Command. But since the alleged UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, there have been rumors linking the base to the storage and study of UFO crash remnants, and even alien bodies. The military says none of this is true, but those who've studied it say Wright-Patterson is large enough and secure enough to hold a multitude of secrets.
I spent 22 years in the military, about 6 years at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Author and retired Air Force Captain Robert Collins says he was a research analyst for the Foreign Technology Division, the FTD, the unit most commonly linked to UFO studies on the base. His official job was to analyze Soviet technology, but Collins has also spent years researching the link between UFOs and Wright-Patterson. In his book, Exempt from Disclosure, Collins determines the mystery of Hangar 18 may lie in a vast underground infrastructure hidden from the thousands of eyes that frequent the base.
The reason you don't want to use hangars, the reason you want to use underground vaults is because you want to keep things under cryogenic temperatures, and you want to keep it cold, and you want to keep it secure. And the underground vaults would be the ideal place to keep it. Now, we do have a lot of evidence that supports the idea that these bolts were there. This underground structure was enormous, and huge, long tunnel areas that connected these vaults. There are about 4 vaults that are about 100 by 100 feet. We found out that these things exist. The question is, what was in them? I'm convinced that the stuff that was recovered from Roswell and other crashes was put in these vaults.
UFO researchers have long heard reports of such a network underneath the base. But Collins' work may provide a more specific view of those tunnels, one that helps construct a diagram of what may exist at the base. According to his research, there is a Building 18 complex instead of a Hangar 18. The structure he found that fit the description is the neighboring building, number 23. Collins claims it was previously known as Hangar 23.
Now, the way I understand it, that back in the early 50s, sometime perhaps between 51 and 53, a craft was brought in here. The floor of the Hangar 23 was removed, and this craft was put in the basement of the hangar, and then the floor was covered over the craft. And then there was a vault area in Building 18F with a tunnel that was constructed and built over to Hangar 23.
While it is possible that Building 23 was the legendary Hangar 18, most researchers have continued to focus on the importance of the underground tunnels.
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is honeycombed with below-ground level facilities. These pits were dug in various configurations and were deep enough to where, if covered over, would have made an ideal remote examination laboratory for somebody trying to examine alien artifacts that had been recovered elsewhere.
By interviewing various Air Force personnel who were supposedly granted access to the top-secret underground vault, Collins felt he was able to confirm many of the rumors.
The biggest kept secret was the huge cryogenics networks that were required to support and preserve these bodies, and I understand it was quite extensive. There were huge cryogenic storage tubes that these so-called 3'4" or 3'6" aliens were kept in these canisters under cryogenic temperatures.
What actually lies beneath Wright-Patterson may be impossible to confirm. The Air Force Base operates under the highest security, keeping access to the base and these vaults secret from almost everyone, even their own.
Secrecy goes all the way to the top. It's a question of absolutely the highest level of classification that exists in the United States government as far as I know.
A formerly classified memo from mid-July 1947 points to FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover showing immense interest in a retrieved craft and his frustration about being kept out of the loop.
We must insist on full access to disc recovered. The Army grabbed it and would not let us have it for cursory examination.
The memo was written just days after the Roswell, New Mexico wreckage was taken to Wright Field. If J. Edgar Hoover couldn't get access to the contents of Hangar 18, how high did the secrecy go? In a 1994 interview with Larry King on TNT, Senator Barry Goldwater detailed his attempt to visit Hangar 18.
I think at Wright-Patterson, if you could get into certain places, you'd find out what the Air Force and the government does know about UFOs. Reportedly, a spaceship landed. It was all hushed up. I called Curtis LeMay and I said, General, I know we have a room at Wright-Patterson where you put all the secret stuff. Could I go in there? Well, I've never heard General LeMay get mad, but he got madder than hell at me. Cussed me out and said, don't ever ask me that question again.
How much was there, we don't know. Whether it was just documents or specimens or pieces, nobody knows. But the story dates back to Goldwater, and I think there's almost no question that it's a very true story.
Next, unexplained lights over Wright-Patterson have Dayton on alert. Are they proof that there are UFOs on the base?
The policeman chased him. They felt was heading for Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
I said do it.